Imagine humans so powerful they could bench press 500 pounds without training, so durable they survived having their arms ripped off and lived to tell about it, so fierce that 74% of them bore scars from fighting cave bears, saber-toothed cats, and wolves, and winning. Welcome to Prehistoria, and today we're uncovering the terrifying truth about Neanderthals, the superhuman species that dominated Ice Age Europe for 350,000 years. These weren't the primitive cave dwellers you learned about in school. Recent discoveries reveal Neanderthals were evolutionary masterpieces, living tanks engineered by nature for one purpose: survival at any cost. They possessed lung capacity that shamed Olympic athletes, bone density twice that of modern humans, and sensory capabilities that bordered on supernatural. But here's what will shock you most. Their DNA still flows through your veins, and scientists are only now discovering what superhuman abilities they may have passed down to us. Between 400,000 and 40,000 years ago, while our ancestors huddled around fires in Africa, Europe belonged to a different kind of human entirely. The Neanderthals weren't just surviving the Ice Age, they were thriving in conditions that would kill modern humans within hours. This was the worm glaciation, when massive ice sheets buried half of Europe under kilometers of frozen death. Temperatures plummeted to -30 degrees Fahrenheit during winter months. Woolly mammoths, cave bears the size of pickup trucks, and saber-toothed cats ruled a landscape that resembled an alien planet more than anything we know today. Yet Neanderthals didn't just survive this frozen hell. They became its apex predators. Recent skeletal analysis reveals these weren't the short, brutish creatures we once imagined. The average Neanderthal male stood 5 feet 6 inches and weighed 183 pounds, 20% heavier than modern humans despite being shorter. But that extra weight wasn't fat. It was pure, devastating muscle mass wrapped around bones twice as dense as ours. Their skeletons tell a story of unimaginable violence and survival. Between 79% and 94% of recovered Neanderthal bones show signs of extreme trauma that had completely healed. We're talking about blunt force fractures, traumatic amputations, and injuries that would be fatal to any human alive today. One elderly Neanderthal discovered in Iraq had survived losing his entire right arm, suffering massive facial trauma that blinded one eye, and enduring such severe ear damage that both ear canals were sealed shut by scar tissue. He lived for decades after these injuries, cared for by his tribe. This level of trauma recovery suggests something extraordinary about Neanderthal biology. Something that made them virtually indestructible. Modern strength athletes spend years developing their physiques through precise training and nutrition. Neanderthals were born as natural powerlifters. Their arm bones show distinctive Popeye-like development from wielding massive wooden spears that weighed up to 15 pounds. These weren't throwing spears. They were close combat weapons used to take down creatures that could crush a human with a single swipe. Biomechanical analysis suggests an untrained Neanderthal male could bench press 500 pounds, while females could handle 350 pounds. To put this in perspective, only elite powerlifters today can match the casual strength of an average Neanderthal woman. Their hunting style explains this incredible power. While early humans threw spears from a distance, Neanderthals charged directly at woolly mammoths, cave bears, and woolly rhinoceros. They would sprint close enough to drive their massive spears through thick hide and bone, requiring explosive strength that modern humans simply cannot generate. Isotopic analysis of Neanderthal teeth reveals they obtained 70% of their massive caloric needs from meat, making them hyper-carnivores more extreme than polar bears. They needed between 4,500 and 6,700 calories daily to fuel their supercharged metabolisms. But raw strength was just the beginning of their biological advantages. Yet even this devastating physical power paled in comparison to what evolution had done to their senses. Neanderthals didn't just outmuscle the competition. They could literally see, hear, and smell things modern humans cannot detect. Their eye sockets were 15% larger than ours, housing massive eyes that processed visual information with supernatural clarity. This wasn't just better vision, it was enhanced night vision that allowed them to hunt in near-total darkness when most predators were blind. Their brains devoted enormous regions to processing visual input, creating what scientists describe as enhanced visual spatial intelligence. They could track prey across frozen landscapes, detect threats at impossible distances, and navigate terrain that would leave modern humans completely lost. But their most shocking adaptation was respiratory. Neanderthal noses were 50% larger than ours, with internal structures that moved air twice as fast. This wasn't just about breathing. It was about survival in sub-zero temperatures where every breath could freeze your lungs. One specimen, known as Kibara 2, possessed lung capacity of 9 liters, 40% greater than the largest lung capacity ever recorded in a modern athlete. Until recently, the world record was only 8.5 liters, held by an Olympic swimmer after years of training. This massive oxygen intake supported their supercharged metabolisms and gave them explosive bursts of speed that allowed them to run down prey in short, devastating sprints. Their enlarged nasal cavities also enhanced their sense of smell to levels that bordered on animalistic. They could track wounded prey across kilometers of frozen terrain, detect predators approaching from impossible distances, and locate food sources buried under snow. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery lay hidden within their skulls. Here's where Neanderthal biology becomes truly unsettling. Their skulls housed brains that were on average 30% larger than modern human brains. Male Neanderthals carried 1,640 cubic centimeters of brain tissue, while females averaged 1,460 cubic centimeters. These weren't just bigger brains, they were fundamentally different organs, structured for enhanced sensory processing and spatial intelligence. Large portions of their brains were dedicated to processing visual and olfactory information, creating what researchers describe as enhanced environmental awareness. They could process complex three-dimensional landscapes, track multiple moving targets simultaneously, and coordinate group hunts with precision that required advanced communication. Recent archaeological evidence proves Neanderthals created sophisticated tools, produced cave art, buried their dead with ritual significance, and cared for disabled tribe members for decades. They weren't primitive, they were differently evolved. Their brain structure suggests enhanced memory capabilities, allowing them to memorize vast territories, seasonal migration patterns, and complex social relationships across extended family networks that spanned hundreds of kilometers. But here's the most chilling discovery. Their enlarged brains came with a cost that may explain their extinction. Neanderthal infants were born with heads so large that childbirth became extremely dangerous. Their enhanced biology required extended childhood development periods, meaning fewer offspring survived to reproductive age. While modern humans could produce large families quickly, Neanderthals invested enormous resources in fewer but more capable individuals. This biological strategy worked for 350,000 years, until they encountered something their superior abilities couldn't overcome. Yet extinction would not be the end of their story. Around 45,000 years ago, modern humans migrated into Europe carrying a weapon that Neanderthals couldn't defend against: faster reproduction rates and superior projectile technology. While Neanderthals charged at mammoths with massive spears, Humans developed atlatls and eventually bows that could kill from distances of 100 meters or more. Neanderthal strength and durability meant nothing when humans could strike from beyond their reach. More critically, human females could produce children faster and with lower mortality rates. Where a Neanderthal tribe might produce one surviving child every 3 years, humans could double or triple that reproduction rate. Climate change accelerated their decline. As the Ice Age ended, the massive prey animals that supported Neanderthal hyper-carnivorous diets went extinct. Their supercharged metabolisms, evolved for hunting megafauna, became a liability in a world of smaller game. Archaeological evidence suggests the final Neanderthal population survived in Gibraltar until approximately 28,000 years ago, isolated, starving, and slowly dying out as their biological advantages became evolutionary dead ends. But their story didn't end with extinction. DNA analysis reveals that modern humans interbred with Neanderthals during the 15,000 years they coexisted in Europe. Today, anyone of non-African ancestry carries 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. What this means for modern humans is more profound than anyone imagined. If you're of European, Asian, or Native American descent, you carry the genetic legacy of Earth's most formidable human species. But what does that actually mean for your biology? Recent genomic studies reveal Neanderthal DNA isn't just evolutionary baggage. It's actively influencing modern human traits in ways scientists are only beginning to understand. Neanderthal genetic variants affect skin thickness, hair density, and cold tolerance. People with higher percentages of Neanderthal DNA show enhanced immune responses to certain pathogens, suggesting their disease resistance genes are still protecting us today. More intriguingly, some studies suggest Neanderthal genetic variants may influence athletic performance, pain tolerance, and even sleep patterns. Their genes for enhanced muscle fiber development and bone density are still present in modern populations, though typically dormant. However, Neanderthal DNA also carries risks. Genetic variants associated with depression, autoimmune disorders, and blood clotting issues appear to have Neanderthal origins, suggesting their enhanced biology came with significant trade-offs. One particularly fascinating discovery involves the FOXP2 gene associated with language development. Neanderthals possessed the same language-related genetic variants as modern humans, confirming they could communicate with sophisticated speech. Recent archaeological evidence supports this, revealing Neanderthals created complex symbolic art, used advanced hunting strategies requiring coordinated communication, and possessed cultural knowledge that was passed down through generations. But perhaps the most shocking revelation involves ongoing evolution. Modern genetic technology has advanced to the point where scientists could theoretically recreate living Neanderthals using complete genome sequences and stem cell manipulation. Several research teams have successfully activated dormant Neanderthal genetic variants in laboratory settings, producing cells with enhanced resistance to cold stress and increased protein production. These experiments raise profound questions about the potential for Neanderthal genetic resurrection. More immediately concerning, some researchers propose that selective breeding for Neanderthal genetic variants could produce humans with enhanced strength, cold tolerance, and sensory capabilities within a few generations. The ethical implications are staggering. Would resurrected Neanderthals be considered human? Could their superior physical capabilities create a new biological class system? Would their enhanced sensory processing and spatial intelligence give them advantages that modern humans couldn't compete with? These questions aren't science fiction. They're immediate concerns as genetic technology advances exponentially. However, recent discoveries suggest something far more disturbing about how Neanderthals actually disappeared. New evidence suggests Neanderthals didn't simply lose a competition with modern humans. They may have been systematically exterminated in the first genocide in human history. Archaeological sites across Europe show evidence of violent conflicts between human and Neanderthal populations. Modern human settlements are often built directly on top of destroyed Neanderthal sites, suggesting deliberate displacement rather than natural competition. Genetic analysis reveals that interbreeding between humans and Neanderthals was limited and may have been the result of violent encounters rather than peaceful coexistence. More disturbing isotopic analysis suggests late-period Neanderthal populations were suffering from chronic malnutrition, possibly due to humans systematically hunting the same prey species and forcing Neanderthals into marginal territories. The final Neanderthal populations in Gibraltar show signs of severe dietary stress, suggesting they were literally starved to extinction by human competition for resources. This raises uncomfortable questions about modern human nature. Did our ancestors succeed through intelligence and cooperation, or through systematic violence against a superior but less numerous species? The answer may lie in our Neanderthal DNA itself, the genetic evidence of a species that almost conquered Earth before encountering the most dangerous predator in planetary history, us. Neanderthals represent the pinnacle of human physical evolution, biological weapons forged by 350,000 years of surviving in Earth's most hostile environments. Their strength, durability, sensory capabilities, and intelligence surpassed modern humans in almost every measurable category. Yet they're extinct, and we're not. Their story reveals a fundamental truth about evolution. Sometimes superior biology isn't enough. Speed of reproduction, technological innovation, and sheer numbers can overcome even the most perfectly adapted species. But their genetic legacy continues to shape us. Every time someone displays unusual strength, enhanced cold tolerance, or exceptional spatial intelligence, they may be expressing dormant Neanderthal capabilities encoded in their DNA. The peaceful waters of prehistoric oceans may have offered refuge from saber-toothed predators, but the frozen landscapes of Ice Age Europe belonged to the ultimate human predators, beings so formidable that modern science struggles to understand how they were possible. Neanderthals were biological weapons that evolution itself couldn't improve upon. The only force capable of defeating them was us. Until next time. And remember, sometimes the monsters from our past aren't myths. Sometimes they're family.